Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we're going to be in Dungeon Crawl Classics. We're going to create a dwarf character. So if you were in a 0 level funnel, you would have a character left over, and I have an example character for this, where you would have created 4 characters and 1 or 2 might have survived, and then you'd pick which one you want to play. Or if the game master and the party agrees, you all just start at first level, so you start by creating your 0 level character, seeing what you were before the adventuring started, and then create your first level character from that. So I'm going to create a dwarf. My hit points for my 0 level character is 2, my strength is 16, my agility is 9, my stamina is 10. My personality, I believe is that what that one is 8. My luck is 8. My intelligence is 8. And then I have no bonus to the saves because 0 level characters don't get it. So let's read what a dwarf is in Dungeon Crawl Classics, and then from there we'll see what I get as a level 1 dwarf. You are short, stout, demi-human with an unabashed love of gold. Nothing pleases you more than the gleam of gems and the solidity of a gold ingot. You love to count your coins. The sight of treasure sometimes makes you lose your head, just as does the swirling chaos of combat. You love to fight wildly, swinging a weapon with brutal efficiencies as you chop your way through your foes. Dwarves live far beneath the ground and rarely set foot above it. Dark caves and deep cities were once your home, but now you live as a wandering life. You are an exiled defender selling your martial might, a curious craftsman trading your talents, or a bitter renegade, unwilling to settle for your lot in life. You are an object of suspicion to surface worlders as well as to other dwarves. Dwarven societies are rigid, orderly, and prescribed with clearly defined roles and responsibilities bound by Byzantine rules of age and occupation. Any dwarf who rejects this lawful model of insular defensiveness to pursue a vocation of gregarious curiosity is, to his fellows, a loose cannon or even a traitor. So for a dwarf character, your hit points are a D10. Let me find one real quick. So a D10, I get to add 7 to my hit points. So my level 1 dwarf is going to have a total of 9 hit points. Weapons training. Dwarves prefer the battle with weapon and shield. So I'm going to use, it's usually referred to as sword and board style. But in the case of a dwarf, it's like axe and board style. Use an axe and a shield. A dwarf is trained in the use of these melee weapons: battle axe, club, dagger, hand axe, longsword, mace, short sword, spear, two-handed sword, and warhammer. A dwarf is also trained in these missile fire weapons: crossbow, javelin, short bow, and sling. Dwarves wear whatever armor they can afford. So without looking up the cost, I want to do axe and shield. As my style of combat. And then possible crossbow. Without knowing if I can afford it, so let's put that as crossbow or sling, because I know sling is cheap in most medieval games, because all it is a little piece of cloth and a little section of rope. Alignments. Dwarven life impresses lawful behavior forcefully. A dwarf who rejects this must have a good reason. Adventuring dwarves of a lawful alignment are syndics, agents of their native government sent to spy, reconnoiter, procure goods, or build alliances. Chaotic dwarves are exceedingly rare in their home countries. Death or exile is their natural fate. Banishment due to rebellion and disobedience is the best they can hope for. And neutral dwarves adventure to learn of the world, a rare personality among this solipsistic race. A neutral dwarf is a master blacksmith, tanner, or miner seeking to expand his skills among the surface dwellers. I'm going to have my dwarf be neutral out of the different alignments. Attack modifier. Dwarves do not receive a fixed attack modifier at each level. Instead, they receive a deed die, which works just like a warrior's deed die. At first level, it is a D3, so let's make a note of that. So whenever I go to make my attack with my weapon, I roll the deed die, 1d3. I add whatever that bonus is to my attack rolls and to my damage rolls. Next, you get Mighty Deed of Arms. Dwarves have a militant heritage that glorifies martial prowess. Like warriors, they can perform Mighty Deed of Arms in combat. So look at my warrior video if you want greater detail on Mighty Deeds of Arms. But for the most part, it is your ability to bull rush, trip, sunder, disarm. Sword and board. Dwarves excel at fighting with a shield in one hand and a weapon in the other. When fighting with a shield, the dwarf always gains a shield bash as a second attack. This shield bash uses a D14 to hit. So attack plus shield bash at 1d14. Okay. And that shield bash still uses the deed die. So when you go to make your attack, you roll your deed die first. So for your attack, you're rolling a d20 plus your deed die. So say your deed die came up 1, you add that to your d20 roll for your regular attack. Then you add that 1 also to your shield bash that you make that turn. So if it comes up a 2 for that turn, then you add 2 to it, so on and so forth. And when your deed die goes higher than a d3, now you have chances to get a bigger bonus. Infravision. Dwarves can see in the dark up to 60 feet. So just like a standard dark vision from, say, Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. But unlike, say, 5th edition D&D, very few creatures have infravision. Dwarves are one of the few. That you can play. Dwarves are slow, so let's make a note of that, which is normal for most fantasy dwarves. Their speed is 20 feet, where a normal human is 30 feet. They get underground skills. Long life beneath the ground trains dwarves to detect certain kinds of construction. When underground, dwarves receive a bonus to detect traps, slanting passages, shifting walls, and other new construction equal to their class level. Additionally, a dwarf can smell gold and gems. A dwarf can tell the direction of a strong concentration of gold or gems within 100 feet. Smaller concentrations, down to a single coin, can still be smelled but require concentration and have scent ranges as low as 40 feet for a single coin or gem. Luck. At first level, Dwarf's luck modifier applies to the attack rolls with one specific kind of weapon. So if I could figure out what axe I could afford, or if I know I want to use a different axe later on, I could have my luck apply to that axe. So we'll say battle axe. Anytime I use a battle axe, I get to add my luck to that. Languages. At first level, Dwarf automatically knows Common and the Dwarven racial language, plus one additional randomly determined language. A Dwarf knows one additional language for every point of intelligence modifier, as described in Appendix L. My Dwarf does not have an intelligence modifier, so he would get 3 languages, one of which is random, the Dwarf language, and Common. Action dice. A dwarf receives a second attack die at 5th level. Dwarves always use their action dice for attacks. A dwarf's shield bash is always in addition to his base action dice. So when you get that second attack at 5th level, you're making 2 attacks and then a shield bash. And at 5th level, your action dice is a d14, the same as your shield bash, but goes up to a d16 at the next level and then a d20. At 10th level, you'll have 3 attacks with your primary weapon. D20, D20, and a D14 attack, and then your shield bash is a D14. My Fortitude, Reflex, and Wills get a +1 as a dwarf. And then as a neutral dwarf, the title that is appropriate is Apprentice. Second level would be Novice, 3rd level would be Journeyer, 4th level would be Crafter, and 5th level would be Thegan. If you're chaotic, it's Rebel, Dissident, Exile, Iconoclast, and Renegade. If you're lawful, it's Agent, Broker, Delegate, Envoy, Syndic. Now, a note on the critical table, critical die and table that you roll on as a dwarf. You don't get the best table in the game right away. The fighter kind of does. But you start on table 3 and you roll a d10. So you get a decent range and the upper end stuff gets a little potent. And then by 4th level, you're on table 4 and you get a d16. Every level you get in dwarf, your crit die goes up by 1. So a d10 to a d12 to a d14 to a d16. At 5th level, you're at a d20. At 6th level, you're at d24. At 7th level, you're at 1d30 and you're on table 5 at this point. By 9th and 10th level, you're on 2 d20s. So that's how that would progress. With that, my dwarf is made. All that would be left would be for me to buy gear and armor and equip him. And I'd equip him with whatever monetary money we would have got from the Adventure Zero, or whatever the game master was giving us for our first level characters. So that would determine what I'd get. And that's why I said I'd like a crossbow or a sling, because the sling's cheap, so I couldn't get that and put more of my money in the axe and the shield if I didn't have a big amount. Let me know what y'all think about creating a dwarf for Dungeon Crawl Classics. The next video in this series will be creating an elf. So until we all game again, guys.